P90X is making a comeback. Talk about it.
Well, it's a 20-year anniversary, so it seems like a good time to kind of bring it back, and the fact of the matter is, no matter where I go, like we were talking earlier, there was a guy in the street came up to me after I came back from Stretch Lab. There's a plug for Stretch Lab. And he just stopped me, and he had a big old belly on him. He goes, "Hey, man, you saved my life," and blah, blah, blah. And I looked down at his belly. I go, "Well, I guess you haven't been doing my stuff lately." And he was kind of like, he just thought he could do his hello and get his selfie and run away. But of course, I had to give him some advice. I said, "Hey, man, when did you do it?" He said, "It was 2010. I go, "It's 2024. You're older. What are you doing now?" He goes, "Not much." I go, "Well, then you already know what to do, so you should go and do it." And so, the people over at Beachbody, or Carl Deichler in particular, the CEO, he recognizes, 11 million copies of DVDs, of P90X DVDs later, that people are still enjoying it. I get it on the airplane, at the airport, on the street. People have done it. Like there's a Secret Service agent, this guy, Jim. I won't give you his last name because he's in the Secret Service. He's done it 50 times. Is that even possible? I guess so. And so the thing just works, and as you and I were talking about earlier, whatever my delivery methods are, they're a little bit unique compared to other trainers. I'm very comfortable in front of a camera, and I did stand up for a couple of years, and I was doing improv for a couple of years, and I did scene study for a bunch of years. And so, I can, my persona is above and beyond just instructing what the exercise is and how to cue the exercise, which is critical, of course, because you want people at home who are maybe not visual learners. They have to hear me, talk about how things need to be done so they get the best possible result without getting hurt in the process, right? So, and like anything I do, maybe I mentioned this years ago, but you're trying to avoid the boredom and the injuries and the plateaus that come from, whatever you're doing. And P90X provided that variety, and we called it muscle confusion, which was a made-up term given to me by Billy Idol when I was training Billy. So there's a name drop, my first name drop. And he used to call me Muscle Confucius. So we thought, oh, that's fun. Let's call it muscle confusion, which is just variety. It's like, Jack Lane did something called periodization training, and they're similar, but they're different. Yeah. So yeah, relaunch, 20 years. Very exciting.
Why do you think the program was so effective?
Because of the variety. 12 discs, all different, in combinations throughout the course of 90 days, plus a recovery week after each month. Nothing like that ever existed before. That's how I was training my clients. That's how I was training the celebrities that I was training, to avoid the boredom, injuries, and plateaus, right? And of course, I'm a goofy guy. So I'm doing don't smash your face, back up like a pterodactyl, do your best, forget the rest, German potato soup. You know what I mean? And it was a reasonable, specific time frame, 3 months. If you started and you stuck with it, and of course you had to make some dietary changes as well, and we shared that with folks. There were different options there. There was a classic version, a lean version, and a bulk version. So, and it was an education for people, because a lot of them were just on the elliptical, or they were just going to boxing classes, or they were just doing yoga, or they were just pumping iron. And we were forcing you to work on your weaknesses as much or more than your strengths. And it was all those things, and the set was cool. And the cast were all mic'd. Like usually in a lot of videos before us, cast members weren't mic'd. There was the star in front. Everybody else were like, crash test dummies in the background. I didn't want to do that. I wanted those exchanges. I wanted people to, and everybody says, God, every time I watch it, it feels like I'm hanging out with friends. I'm hanging out with people that I would want to hang out with. And that was all, that was all part of it. All my goofy lines were spontaneous. They were never sitting on a cue card. They were never, planned or rehearsed. They were just, and that's I love improv. I love humor. I love words. I love language. And I love to mix them all up and say crazy things and make you work hard. Boom.
So 20 years, that's awesome. And I'm sure that you've learned a lot over the course of the last 20 years when it comes to health, fitness, longevity, injury prevention. If you were to recreate the program now, is there anything that you would change, anything you would take out, anything you'd add?
Well, I would love to do another one. Of course, I'm with Power Nation now. If anybody who's looking in, if they want more T. Horton, go to powernationfitness.com and check me out there. There's a program called The Power of Four. So if you look at if you look at P90X, we had 12 routines. The Power 4 has 24. So think about 24 different workouts, all, more muscle confusion and more variety, but I think to answer your question, I would probably, this off the top of my head, I would add more HIIT training, which didn't really exist. Like the plyo session was a little bit like that. Core synergistics was a little bit like that, but very HIIT specific routines. I would certainly put animal flow in there, which there was no sign of that anywhere. And I would have a very strong mindfulness component so people could find another way to recover. And I would have maybe a foam rolling specific routine. So then never mind 3. There's 4 things right off the top of my head. And there's probably anywhere from 6 to 12 actual moves that I would pull out. Like dive bomber push-ups are really bad for maybe 10% of the population's shoulders, like that going under the fence and come back under the fence thing. That's more intense than even at least with a chaturanga or a yoga thing. You're going straight down and up as opposed to that pretty taxing thing. Yeah. And then, okay, number 5, I would talk less, if you can believe that. I would just, I would shorten things up because some of these routines, I would still keep the super long warm-ups and the super long cool downs. And so many programs these days are just taking them out altogether. They're like, I'm not going to name names, but, because a lot of the companies think, oh, people don't want to do that. They want to get right into it because they're short on time. I get all that. But if you want to avoid the injuries, which a lot of us do, then you got to prep the body, man. And you got to also, not all workouts, but a lot of workouts, depending on what they are, you got to let that heart rate come down. You got to stretch those muscles and tendons and ligaments and whatnot as you're coming out of it. But I think you can get a lot more done in a shorter period of time. But then again, I was chatty partly because the cueing is critical. You got to be able to explain, especially for your yoga and your head's facing the floor. The one thing that I was told by Carl Deichel, the CEO of Beachbody, is that I'm pretty good at letting people know what to do when it's time to do it, AKA cueing. And yoga is a perfect example. You're in all these funky positions where you can't look at the screen. You can't look at your phone or your desktop or your laptop. And so all people have are my words to be able to understand, okay, right now you're in downward dog, which means, your fingers are spread, your arms are straight. You're trying to get your head and torso closer to the floor. You're really working on getting your heels straighter to the ground. You're trying to straighten those legs, working on the hamstrings here. Make sure, of course, that you're taking big inhalations. There's no grimacing or gritting the teeth or yada, yada. You know what I mean? So, and I can sort of see it before I do it, only because I've been in this business.
So you mentioned that you ran into a guy that used to do your program, 15 years ago almost, and he had gained a bunch of weight. There's people right now that as they're listening to this, as they're watching this, they want to drop some belly fat. They want to get back into shape. How would you walk somebody through that process now?
For several months, I had this weekly conversation I'd have with people called Tony Talks. Tony's Tuesday Tony Talks. Tuesday Tony Talks on Tuesday. It's called. And, it's all about motivation, inspiration, and education. That's why I have these things. I could get on there and I can show you how to do a better push-up or whatever, but it's just about trying to inspire people. Like, how do you disseminate that to folks that are constantly struggling and in and out of being in shape and out of shape? There's a bunch of words that pop into my head. Number 1 is prioritizing. This has to be, if you really want this thing, because it's not something that we naturally do during the course of our week. We don't naturally, as we go to work and deal with our kids and go to school and all these other things in our life so that we can sort of pay our bills and get through life, like physically hurting ourselves not really hurting, but physically being uncomfortable daily is not something that people, readily sign up for. And so you have to understand how critical it is for you as a human being, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So if you want to be in a mind space, then you have to understand that this has to be a thing that has to happen all the time. Like paying the bills, like breathing air, like eating food, the things that we automatically already do just to survive. So you can either survive or you can thrive. And if you want to thrive, you got to do something about it. So prioritizing is everything. So you have to figure out what time I'm going to do what I'm going to do and what it is exactly I'm going to do when I'm going to do it at that time. right? So if you're somebody like me who likes a lot of variety in their fitness, I'm not talking about going to martial arts classes 3 times a week. I'm not talking about going to, solid core 5 times a month. I'm talking about as consistent as you are with sleeping and eating and breathing. Period. If you don't have the discipline for that, then you will be in a constant state of flux. You'll end up with what I call exercise bipolar disorder, right? You're just going to feel good. I'm going to work out 2 days in a row. Oh crap, I got things, I'm traveling. Oh, I hurt my shoulder slightly, so I'm going to do nothing. Then you take 4 days off, and then you're just never going to get to where you want to go. So I can't go knock on your door and drag you into the gym or force you to do anything you're not going to do. But if you can't do that, I can't even help you. And then the other half of the equation is what you're going to put in your mouth. I mean, exercise gives you the ability to be able to do things that you can't do without it, which means you can go on vacation like my wife and I on bikes, and for 4.5 hours, ride our bikes on the Appian Way, which is what Caesar built in Italy from Rome to the sea. Okay, so if you aren't exercising, you can't get on that bike, and you cannot go on that. And you're in your car with binoculars like 200 yards away, wondering what it would be like to be with those people who are on bikes who are able to do something. You know what I mean? Or you can't, like a lot of people, a lot of my peers, they don't ski anymore. I'm a skier. I ski hard. I ski fast. I ski dangerous, double black, nasty stuff. And I couldn't do that in my teens, 20s, 30s, or 40s. But I just said, okay, what are the things that I need to do to be able to perform at a higher level so that I can, when I go skiing 66 in less than a month, so I can enjoy that. I have friends that are done. So that adventure, that fun, that camaraderie, that vacation, they're done. So I don't know what they're going to do if they're sitting on the couch watching the ball game, or, maybe playing softball and blowing out their hamstrings as they go from home plate to first. I don't know. But I just, if you just want to be able to see more, do more, have more, then you sign up for 5 to 6 days a week till the day you die, period. Or you don't. And then you're not going to get what I get to enjoy. Secondly, food is about health. So that guy that I saw today with the big belly, he's got tons of visceral fat around his organs. So his organs are pissed off and they're barely functioning. And I'm sure because looking at that, his digestive system is garbage, right? So he's probably got leaky gut, leaky brain, irritable bowel syndrome. He's probably got bloating and gas and diarrhea and constipation. I don't know what he got, but I can look at a body and go, you know what I mean? You can walk around and smile and pretend everything's okay. But until you figure out this food discipline thing, that has to happen with the exercise. They have to happen in concert together with one another. All right. One is about health and wellness and quality of life and longevity. And the other one is about your body physically able to try new things and do new things. Oh, the escalator's out and I got 2 heavy pieces of luggage. I'm screwed. Or like, you know what? It's out. I'm going up 2 at a time. You know what I mean? Let's go. And it's really about the mental and emotional state that you're in. Like, so if you combine these 2 things, both the physical and the dietary shift, you're going to be in a completely different mental and emotional state than people who are not exercising and eating whatever. And not exercising and eating whatever is the vast majority of people in this country. And, just because of those 2 things, this is a wild guess, but they're pretty miserable most of the time because of the fat, sugar, salt, and chemicals that are raging through their bodies, and their muscles and tendons and ligaments that are incapable of doing anything. Like, you can't be fired up and jacked up and doing things and going places and sleeping well, and you can't. Your life gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the last 10, 20 years of your life are garbage. They're just like ick, and it doesn't have to be, but you have to do all these things. You have to have a reason why. You have to be consistent. You have to eat really clean. You have to have a mindfulness practice. You have to have some recovery techniques. You know what I mean? These are brand new categories to people who are like, what? What are you talking about? That's a lot of stuff. I don't want to do all that stuff. Okay, well then the last 10 or 20 years of your life are going to suck. Probably. Look at your parents and your grandparents. Were they ripping skiing double black diamonds in their 60s and 70s? If they are, well, then you got a good example. But if they weren't, if they're just, kind of like, I can look at friends of mine from high school and college and go, wow, like, dang, It's too bad. It didn't have to be that way. But we're just, we're creatures of habit, and our parents did it, and our grandparents did it, and we're just going to do what they did. And maybe we're lucky to get around to golfing or something, but it doesn't have to be. And I don't know, I mean, I'm going to be 76 in 10 years. What's that going to look like? I don't know. I didn't think 66 would look like this. I had no idea when I was in my 30s. I went home. I mean, I'm working out a lot, but I'm always evolving. I mean, I went to Stretch Lab today. I went to Solid Core last week. 2 things I've never done before. And I'm always introducing, these quality of life activities to my, I'm trying to fit them into all the other things I do. And it's important to me. And I'm better off for it.
I mean, I've been a trainer for 13 years, and like one of the biggest things that I see with people when they're trying to start off on this health journey is they understand what you just said. They understand the importance of nutrition, movement, mindset, all the things, but they bite off more than they can chew, and they end up falling flat on their face because they haven't worked out in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months.
They're trying to duplicate what they used to do when they don't understand. Like when I had Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, you know what I mean? Or when I tore my bicep tendon off, yeah, of course I knew inherently that I wasn't going to be able to do anything. So I do, do your best, forget the rest.
So how can somebody like prevent that, like and actually develop some healthy habits that last so they can build some momentum along their fitness journey?
They have to change their personality. You know what I mean? Like these type A folks, man, like you have to be okay with not being okay until you're okay. You have to be okay with not being okay until you're okay. What's the time frame between not being okay and meaning what's the time frame between I can't do all these things I used to be able to do to I want to be able to do those things again? That's for some 30 days, some 60, some 90, some a year. It depends on how far you've let things go. All right. It's the form and function part of it, right? Training safely. That's as important. That's on the top of the list with everything else. And also taking your ego out. Ego's got to go out, right? Because like I had a buddy here yesterday, I hadn't seen him in a year, and he's been through hell and just been through hell with his parents and death in the family and work related things because he's a writer, he's an editor, and the acting strike and the writer strike just killed his thing. And so he, instead of like with me, when I have trauma or tough issues, I hunker down, I'm cleaner with my diet, and I'm more disciplined with whatever I can do physically. Like when I tore my bicep tendon, I worked that arm, this core, both these legs. This thing was in a sling. So I just found a way to move because what I ended up doing was cutting my recovery time in half. What he did was, because he didn't move at all and he started eating like it was the end of the world, he put himself in a much worse position. I don't know why people who have tough times make them tougher by adding horrible habits to their really tough, I don't know. You got to be twice as disciplined. And people don't know that, and they don't do that. And so then they have to work 3 times harder to come back from whatever they were struggling with. And they don't have to. Be the tortoise, not the hare, man. Just be the tortoise. Do what you can. Do it. Your workout's got to be cut in half. Your weight's got to be lower. Your range of motion has got to be decreased. And your endurance is going to be crap. So understand that that's going to be part of it. And so what do? Do you get mad and frustrated? Does that, again, you're two emotions that are making your situation worse. How about I'm here, I'm thrilled. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like it was, but I'm just glad I'm doing something safely. And I understand that I have to decrease my range of motion, lower my weights, lower my expectations. And understand that this might be 30 days, 90, 60 a year again. But, if you understand the consistency component to this thing, like so you haven't done anything in 5 years, guess what? You have to start 5 days a week or 6 days a week. That's how you have to go from nothing. But those 5 or 6 days a week aren't 6th gear. They're 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, wherever in there. 1st gear. Or take a day off if you're super sore. That's okay too. You know what I mean? Just look at your calendar, 30 days in the calendar. Here we are at the beginning of June. So theoretically, I need to work out 22 to 25 days this month. And that has to happen every month till the day I die, period. That's everybody. That's if you truly, really want what you want, regardless of where you are and how much you want to gain, and you have to always, you have to pay attention to how you feel. Like that was kind of easy today. Well, then maybe next time you turn up the volume 2%. You know what I mean? You go a little deeper on that lunge. You maybe go from that 5 pound dumbbell to an 8.5, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, or maybe your 3 mile run, you were doing like 12-minute miles. You might want to do 11.5-minute miles the next time around. You know what I mean? And if you're like, let's say you're this person who's done the 6 mile run, and you haven't done it forever. Do you go out and do the 6 mile run again? No. You do a 3 mile run, and then you walk and jog and then run the whole way until it's just, maybe it's just walk. You're just walking the 3 miles. If you get that far, great. And then maybe add some jogging in there somewhere. Like, I'm going to jog to that tree. And then when I get to that tree, I'm going to walk to the next tree or the next telephone pole or the next house. And that's how you get back in the game. And that way it's not this frustrating thing where you feel like, oh man, I'll never be back where I was. It's just because your technique sucks. Your strategy sucks. Your methods suck. You need to back off and show up. Back off and show up. Put that on a t-shirt. Boom, you're done.
So let's just say this person has gotten back into a rhythm. They're back in a routine. They're working out with you. What are some of the like non-negotiable habits you're having somebody put into place into their life on a daily or weekly basis so that they can get lean, lose that 15 to 20 pounds they want, etc.?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but the non-negotiables are a new perspective about this next stage of your health and wellness and fitness, right? Like being okay with the fact that you're getting older. Nobody gets younger and nobody stays the same. There are your genetics, right? There's your DNA, mom and dad, they've made love. There you are. You got to figure out what you want to do with what they gave you. All right. Are you an ectomorph, a mesomorph, or a mesomorph? I'm an ectomorph. This is me. This is me without exercise. Okay. If you're not, I'm holding up a pen. I'm a skinny little dude, but I work, and I'm 66 years old. So I have sarcopenia, no question about it. Sarcopenia is age-related muscle loss. It's a real thing. It's science. Google it. Sarcopenia. And so it's really hard. Like when I was P90X guy, I was about $180. I have to work my ass off to be about a 167 to 170, right? But I don't want to overeat just because I want to look at the scale. Like that matters. I can athletically perform at a much higher level in a lot of ways that I could, 20 years ago, because I'm doing different things. All right. So if to answer your question, your perspective has got to change because you're getting older. You have to accept certain part. You're going to either age gracefully or you're going to start taking HGH and steroids or whatever else. You're not on a football team or the soccer team or the lacrosse team. You're a grown up. I don't know how old your listeners are, but so, creatine, good. I'll give you that one. You can take that supplement, but a high quality protein. I have my own proteins. I have my own supplements now that I created for myself when I lost almost 30 pounds with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It's got HMB and vitamin D and chromium, and it's high quality plant or whey, right? So I'm a vegan now. So I do the plant. If I didn't have that plant shake in the morning and that plant shake in the afternoon, I'd be 160 pounds. You know what I mean? And the other thing the next non-negotiable is you just got to eat plants, man. You don't have to be a vegan. You can be a flexitarian or omnivore, but you got to get off the cookies, the crackers, the chips, the pretzels, the popcorn. You know what I mean? Like we're just endless snackers. Like all those boxes that are filled with all those products, throw them the F out. Get them out of the house. My wife, I have this Green Goddess vegan dressing with carrots, crunchy. That Green Goddess is yummy. Boom, boom, boom. That's how I do it. If I need something crunchy like that carb, I have Ezekiel multigrain flourless bread and I toast it. And I put Miyoko's plant-based butter. Tastes just like butter, but it's plant Miyoko's. And then I put some organic crunchy almond butter on it. Crunchy, yummy, high grain, flourless. It's, I eat a lot of gluten-free stuff too. I had a gluten-free pizza last night because a lot of plant-based dairy stuff is pretty nasty. It tastes like, melted wax paper. Her stuff is really good. And so what I'll do is that's my go-to snack as opposed to reaching into the box and doing the popcorn, doing the pretzels and doing the crackers and all that kind of stuff. I've got hummus in the house. I've got lots of dips in the house. I have the things that I kind of rely on that kind of hit that. And then, in the sweet tooth, I do pure dark chocolate, little tiny squares. And if you can believe it, because I'm a freak, I have one a day. not a whole bar, kunk, kunk, kunk. I have one square. It's that big. And I put it in my mouth and it's with salt in it. And I won't chew it. I'll just let it melt in my mouth like a Tootsie Roll. It's pretty fabulous. And by the way, yeah, I'm super disciplined, maybe to the point where, I'm a freak. But I love the way I feel, and I love the way I sleep, and I love the way I have no aches and pains, and I love the way I recover, and I love that I don't need blue pills to make love to my wife. You know what I mean? Like I should not be an anomaly. I shouldn't be. You know what I mean? I can climb two double ropes, plyo two double ropes, do 20 pull-ups at the top, and plyo down in an L. And like I couldn't do that in my teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s. But I can do it now because, I don't just go into the gym and do wrist curls or get on the elliptical anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and both those things, if you need to do wrist curls because of something, or the elliptical is better than smoking cigarettes, then sure. But, how far do you want to go? How disciplined do you want to be? How clean do you want your diet to be? You know what I mean? And if it's I don't mean to use profanity, but if it's all that sounds like a great big pain in the ass, and you have no interest in any of that at all, well then, yeah, then you won't be able to do what I can do and enjoy what I enjoy and feel like I feel and sleep like I sleep. And you know what I mean? It's all worth it. Like I research mattresses, I research sheets, I research recovery techniques. I take Epsom salt baths all the time. You know what I mean? I have a sauna, an infrared sauna, because I know that helps with recovery. I have a cold plunge, which I freaking hate. I hate it. It's awful. It's stupid, but I get in because I get it. You know what I mean? So, because I know what the outcome is going to be. Like, I teach an hour and a half yoga class on Fridays. And when I'm standing there and there's people in the room with me, it's the last thing on earth I want to do is stand there and go, okay, set your intention, right? But when I'm in Shavasana, man, it's like I've been to heaven and back. So you got to go through the fire sometimes to come out the other side being a completely different, better human being. And there's different levels of all this stuff, and this is just my level.
There's been a big movement over the last several years on the importance of walking and like daily steps. Like, how do you feel about walking in general as exercise? And do you think that people should try to hit a certain number of steps every single day?
I don't know. If you want to count your steps and you're into your watch and that tells you a thing, fine, on how many calories it burns. Walking, well, are you going to walk 500 yards or are you going to walk 2 miles? Are you going to walk on a flat surface? Or are you going to walk on a hilly surface? Are you going to walk slow or are you going to walk fast? I mean, like different outcomes depending on different ways in which you're going to walk. You know what I'm saying? So, but walking is amazing. It's so therapeutic. It's so easy to be in the moment. And especially if you're outside, you're just taking in everything, the trees, the neighbors, the flowers, the air, the birds. It's kind of perfect in every way. It's not the single only go-to way to get conditioned. It should be in conjunction with all the other things that you should be doing as well. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are like, they haven't walked for the sole purpose of walking and burning some calories and breathing some fresh air. They don't do that unless you live in New York City and you're walking all over the city or something, or or you have a lot of trails. Like I have a big old trail that goes on and on and on in my backyard. A lot of mountain bikers back there, a lot of dog walkers, and it's a great place to go. You're kind of hiking. It goes up slightly. The grade goes up slightly, and the grade comes down. But when I go back there, I run it. I run 3 miles plus in and 3 miles plus out, and I'm jumping over little streams and rocks, and it's a lot of trying not to twist my ankle kind of thing. So it's super therapeutic. It's like walking, advanced walking, hiking kind of thing. But yeah. Walking is great. Not enough. I mean, it's the beginning of getting yourself super. If you want to be fit, if you just want to have walking endurance, great. But add a hill, that'll change things. Add a couple of hills, that'll change more. Add more hills, a lot more change, right?
If you're like me and are constantly on the go juggling work, social outings, and all the other chaos life throws your way, I have found an absolute game changer that gives me some time back. Jimmy's Famous Meals is a local meal prep company that provides fully cooked, chef-prepared meals and can deliver them right to your doorstep. I am currently about to eat the Greek lemon chicken, which is one of my favorites. I get this every week, and I absolutely love Jimmy's Famous Meals. They are so good and delicious. Picture this: no more stressing over what to cook after a long day, and always having a wholesome, delicious meal waiting for you in your fridge. Their meals are prepped, cooked, and ready to heat and eat in minutes. So say goodbye to the hassle of grocery shopping and meal planning. With Jimmy's Famous Meals, convenience is served straight to your doorstep. So if you're looking to get your time back and make healthy eating easy, head to jimmysfamousmeals.com. And when you use the promo code Doug25 at checkout, you'll get 25% off your order. Cheers to healthy eating. I think P90X and some of these other workout programs can sometimes get lumped into the same category as the C word, right? And CrossFit.
Yeah, well, a lot of people who did P90X end up doing CrossFit and love it. Yeah.
And there's also been a big push over the last few years on the importance of strength training. And because for years it was like strength training was for athletes only, and it was going to make women bulky, and you could get hurt if you lifted too heavy, right? And now like strength training has made a massive comeback. What do you think of like traditional strength training, bodybuilding? Like, do you think that it stacks up to your style of workouts?
Well, I'll give you a breakdown of what I do from week to week. So tonight, Monday, I don't know when people are going to see this, I do a 9-station cardio circuit because I want to avoid the boredom injuries and plateaus that come from just getting on the VersaClimber for 50 minutes. You know what I mean? Or getting on the treadmill and pounding on the treadmill, or just sitting on and getting on a stationary bike. I do 3 minutes on a slide board, then I do 3 minutes on a bike, then I do 3 minutes on an endless rope, and then I do 3 minutes on a heavy bag, and then do 3 minutes on a treadmill, then I do 3 minutes on the rower, then I do 3 minutes at the jump roping station, and I do 3 minutes on the ski machine, on the skier's edge, and I go around twice. The whole thing is right, and then you try to take no more than 15 to 20 seconds. You literally finish one, and you go to the next one, and you go to the next one. So they're little breaks. It's kind of a HIIT training cardio thing. And that way, I know I'm only on each one for 3 minutes. So I'll do intervals. Like I'll be on the skier, kind of like bang, bang, bang. And then I'll go just, intuitively, I need to like step it up for these 10. Wham, wham. Or the VersaClimber, I'm here. And then for 10, full range of motion. And it's so much better than just, it kicks the crap out of my little hike run that I do in my backyard. And I try to burn around 600 calories, which is pretty good for an old guy. And I just, it's more entertaining, and I crank up the tunes. That's Monday. Tomorrow is going to be a hypertrophy day, a lot of weightlifting. It's shoulders and arms. So I'll be doing Arnold presses, shoulder presses, flies, upright rows, and then I'll hammer the brachialis, biceps, triceps, the second half of that. And that's a 24 set thing. So usually 12 sets of shoulders, and then six of biceps and 6 of triceps. And sometimes I'll do shoulders, bis, and tris in a circuit. Sometimes I'll do all shoulders, and then I'll circuit tri-bi. I mean, just whatever I'm in the mood for that's different than the one before. Wednesdays is either A, pure plyo, like P90X, but harder, 30 to 100 reps each, just hammer. Like if I've had professional speed skaters, I've had professional athletes, Olympians come here and they vomit and they can't walk for 6 days. Because at that work, I've been doing that routine for almost 20 years. So I'm always, okay, let's go deeper. Let's add reps. It just gets more, because I'm a skier, right? So when I get on a ski hill, I can start at the top and go to the bottom. I used to have to stop 5 or 6 times when I was younger. That routine is what gets me to the bottom of the hill. And if you can come and hang, great. If you can't, well, most people don't come back a second time. And then Thursdays is more hypertrophy, more weight training, bench pressing, old school, lat pulls, different kinds of ways. But I also add weird push-ups and weird pull-ups. So last week I did the challenge from P90X3, 24 sets of just pull-up, push-up, pull-up, push-up, pull-up, push-up. And the challenge is set the number, stick to the number. So mine was 13 pull-ups, 25 push-ups. Every time I did 25 push-ups, and every time I did 13 pull-ups. But I'm changing wide, narrow, vaulter, whatever, So the first 3 of both are one, and then I switch them, and then I switch them. It's a bear. And then Friday is my yoga class that I teach because I'm so beat up from the week before. And then Saturday, now I've been going to Pilates, solid core, which I'm absolutely horrible at. Just shaking, sweating, It's loud. It's the queuing is like there's 20-year-old women who are kicking my ass in there. You know what I mean? But I love it because I'm horrible. So that means I'm getting better. I won't be horrible the 100th time. Second time, horrible. And then Sunday is my 4-hour ninja app, pegboards, ropes, ninja, rattlesnake wrangling. That was a bonus move yesterday. I can do that because I sleep 8.5 hours, 9 hours. I don't drink any alcohol. I hydrate electrolytes like crazy. I've got the foam roller. I've got the Theragun. I've got the sauna. I've got the cold plunge. I got all the things because for that much ass kicking, I gotta have the recovery mindfulness stuff. And the mindfulness and recovery are different. Like I'll show you. This is important. Speaking of, here's what you need to do. Recovery wise, I have cold plunge, sauna, foam roll, massage, jacuzzi, compression, things for my legs. My supplements are part of my recovery for sure. High quality protein with HMB, blah, blah, blah. I even use a heating pad, but rarely. That's low on my list. Tons of hydration with electrolytes, sleep, cryotherapy. Do I do all of those? No, but I get 2 or 3 of them in. And then mindfulness, music, walking, number 2 on my list. There it is. Where is it? Walking and backwards. Playing with my dog, Charlie, napping. Like if I'm tired, I don't feel guilty, man, but it's 15 minutes, fighter nap. You get into half an hour of nap, you don't even know what day it is when you wake up. Meditation, breath work, they're different, but I do them both. And then a 10-minute sun salutation with yoga. It's like, I just need that, inhale, exhale, hang down, step back, blah, 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 warrior one, blah, blah, repeat. I do that nearest Surya Namaskara A over and over and over again. And gardening, yesterday was all about cactus, man. I was just like breaking up cactus in the forest and bringing them and planting them in the ground. I love it. And then reading, I'm always just reading or whatever. And then time with my gal, just her and I chilling out, even laying in bed in the morning and telling stories and playing music. And then my altruistic part of me is like, I gave quite a bit of money to a charity who is helping feed folks in Ukraine, World Central Kitchen. I give them a chunk of my money. And I also give Scotty Pfeiffer Scissors Go campaign. I give him money too. So, when you give, when you give, you get. If you're constantly holding on, I've discovered that karma doesn't like you when you do that. So
you look amazing at 66.
And by the way, don't dye this. Don't dye this.
You don't dye the hair?
This is a freaking hair. But look, watch. It's in there, man. You see it?
For those listening, he's showing some gray behind his.
Yeah. The temples. But this hair, it covers it up. Like if I got a crew cut, you'd see tons of gray. But I dyed the crap out of my beard. So if anybody has any questions, because my beard is 37 colors. It looks like weird. So I just dyed the beard to match my hair.
People love longevity and they're very interested in it now, as I'm sure you're well aware of. People want to live to 100. They want to live to like 160. They want to live to 400 or whatever.
Yeah. Who cares? Longevity. How about quality of life while you're here? The past is the future. The past is history. The future is a mystery, man. How about kick the crap out of right now? Like we're doing all these like little beavers trying to make sure that we live an extra couple of years. But in the process, are we joyful and happy and fired up and thrilled about where we are now as we make our way into the future? I don't know. Longevity has been a thing, the whole fountain of youth thing, but you got to do everything I've mentioned already to be able to hopefully.
My point is like you're 66 and I know that you think that like most everybody should be able to do a lot of what you're currently doing if they put their mind to it. But the reality is I would say you're like as fit as like a 30-year-old, 20-year-old, based like somebody in their prime based on how you exercise. And I could be butchering that a little bit, but nonetheless, like besides what you've already mentioned, is there anything else that you do in your routine that you think has helped you like age gracefully, that it has helped you maintain this fountain of youth?
Avoid the sun like the plague. I used to be the brownest man. You see these cabinets? That's what color I used to be all the time. I was in the booth. I was out with the thing at the beach. It was constant. And now my skin is the one part of my body that is not as youthful as the rest of me, unfortunately. So, yesterday I had 2 different types of sunblock all over my face. Now I have eczema, which I don't know. you maybe can see it. It's there. It's there. I'm doing this skin treatment that's sort of dealing with it. And my arms, like I have all these marks on my arms and things. If if I had treated my body right, my whole body would look like my butt. Like my skin on my butt is like that of a 9-year-old. So that sun is a bear, man. And obviously, if you're Greek or you have, are you Greek, dude? You got now. I'm half Italian, but the English and Irish ruin me. And so that's the thing. Like I would just say don't leave the house without the sunblock on, especially if you're lighter skinned. If you're darker skinned, you have you're just genetically better off than us whiteys. And that's another one. And also the mindfulness thing is super important. There's no mindfulness of any kind in P90X except for the yoga. But that yoga is a workout. That P90X yoga is a monster. The hope is there that you're, like if you look at yoga, it's balance, it's strength, it's flexibility, and it's also learning to be calm in the storm, the mindfulness part. And for me, the big shifterino was, I think the reason why I'm doing okay at my age is that avoiding the sun now. I wear big old hats, you know what I mean? And I wear the SPF. And I've learned how to chill, because I got Ramsay Hunt syndrome because I didn't know how to chill. You know what I mean? It was stress and stress alone that took me down. My vision and my smell and my taste and my balance were fried. The nerves inside of my brain were fried. My face was more, you know what I mean? And that's because I was go all the time. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing because I get things done. But the pendulum, it's got to swing in both directions. So if you're going to, like yesterday's workout was a bear. So drink, electrolytes, yada, 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 supplements, blah, blah, boom, went to bed early, slept 9 hours last night, and then got up and went to stretch lab. You know what I mean? And so the candle doesn't do so well when it burns at both ends, man. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do all the things that I do, you have to, like LeBron James, for example, he's 40. He scored more points than anybody ever. And how does he still perform at that level? Is he an anomaly? No, for every hour that he's on the court or training hard, he's got 2 hours of recovery stuff. He lives in his cryotherapy chamber and he does massage and all these different things. And he's got a tonal. I don't know if he works out to my workouts on tonal, but he should. And so that's it, But a lot of people go, dude, I don't even have enough time for a 15-minute workout. You want me to do all these other things? I go, okay, well then you'll just be who you are based on what you can do. Or you prioritize and you slot it in. Can you get up a little half hour earlier? You know what I mean? It's like, I have my friend Tracy Merrill, 6 kids, fit as a fiddle, and her own business. Okay. What is she, some kind of superhero? No. She just figured it out because she knows how important it is. She likes feeling good. She likes looking good. She cares about her longevity, but she also cares about the things that she can do and her physical, mental, and emotional state as a result of doing them,
Any other mindset tips that you have for people other than like the prioritization thing, changing your perspective, changing your personality?
This book here was a game changer. Full Catastrophe Living. John Kabat-Zinn. I always go back and say, okay, well, I'm kind of having a tough time. Look at this. I obviously liked that whole page. I like that over there too, man. You know what I mean? And so, I'm coming out of 2 more pages of just stuff, So this is really mostly about meditation. I mean, there's, whether it's, I'm trying to think of all the different kinds, body scan is one, there's different kinds of them. And it's basically here using the wisdom of your body and mind to face stress, pain, and illness. And so I had those 3 things. I had stress, I had tons of pain, and I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed and I couldn't eat. So I reading this book was a big thing for me. But for me, I don't meditate so much anymore. Now for me, I read the book Breath with David Nestor, John Nestor.
James Nestor.
What's his first name?
James Nestor.
James Nestor. I keep saying David. That was a game changer for me. Like all that breath work, that box breathing for me is gold. Like last night, I went to bed. I was so exhausted from my workout. I hit the pillow. I was like, I'm just so glad I'm here. But at 4:45, whatever I did yesterday, the degree in which I pushed, it woke me up. And I was just aching. And I was just, and bad shape. So I just did my 8 count box breathing. Now a lot of people do 4, like they always say in Navy SEALs. In 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold that 4. For me, because my lung capacity is pretty freakish, I'll do 8 or as much as a 12 count. So inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 8. Hold it 8. Exhale 8, and that allowed me to be present, and it allowed me to fall back asleep again. I don't know. I just keep going till I fall asleep, which is usually maybe like after 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe at the most. And that's a big game changer for me. That's stuff I never used to do before. And it's a little hard to sort of grasp that it works. I breathe anyway, Tony. Shut the hell up. How's that going to help me? I'm going to take deeper breaths. Well, it's oxygen in, which is healing, and carbon dioxide, which are the toxins you want out. You know what I mean? So bigger breaths, more lung capacity down to the bottom of the lungs, right? Fill it up like balloons, and your belly too, which I learned from acting way back in the day. And then let it all out again and over and over and over again. And those breath holds are really, really important as well.
You talked about having Ramsay Hunt syndrome, and I remember watching that, and obviously just super awful to watch. Felt terrible for you, just given that, like, before, like, people look at you now and they're like, man, this guy's like one of the fittest guys on the planet. I mean, just talking about how you look, your workout routine, like, what lessons did that teach you? And how did you, like, crawl out of the darkness?
Well, one of the answers to that would be exactly what you were asking me earlier in regards to people who have taken a lot of time off. Like for me, it was 3 months off, like 5 to 6 days a week for decades. Stop, nothing, bed, right? And so, yeah, fortunately, I had all that history that I could rely on, and I also had the common sense to know that I'm never, after 3 months, especially being so ill, where my vision, smell, taste, and balance went to crap. I know this is going to be a drag. And there were moments, I'm not going to lie to you, there were moments where I felt like I'm not a robot, where I felt like, holy crap, am I ever going to be able to get back? But then the stronger voice, that's that guy on that shoulder, maybe it might not work. It might not be, you're older now and you're decrepit and you can't walk in a straight line. Oh, I think it's terrible. But then this voice was bigger. It's like, all right, don't listen to that. You know what to do. Get in there and do what you can do. And then come back the next day and get in there and do what you can do. And it was like tortoise, very little gains early on. And then about week 5, I can do more now. I can do more pull-ups again. I can do more push-ups again. I can't run on a treadmill, but I can at least get up a hill and walk up the treadmill. And so that was it. And it's the same for anybody else who's been off for whatever reasons, illness, broken bones, cancer recovery, whatever it is, I don't know if that answers your question. What was the question again, Doug?
Like, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned during that time? Because like your health got stripped away from you, and you're like, people look at you now and many would say you're like the fittest guy on earth.
It's the learning to chill. We're a very stressed out group of people here in this country, man. There's so much going on, environmentally. I mean, you look at the tornadoes that have, like, how many, 2,192, I don't know what the number is, just like entire towns have been destroyed. Like, think about that. Like, here you are, you kind of got your life together and your town is toothpicks. That's stressful. I mean, you look at the political environment, how everybody's in their own little tribe and stuff, and they're all, we're all the same people in the same country. I don't know why we're not, we're a democracy, for God's sakes. But a lot of people are just starting to, like, when I was younger, nobody was political. You didn't even know if they were Democrats or Republicans or who they voted for. It didn't matter. You were just going about your business, and you had your friends were your friends. And now, like, there are family members that don't even talk anymore. Like, there's whatever it is. Those are just 2 examples. There's dozens of them, and we get so caught up in this angst and this stress and this anxiety. And we're, a lot of people have prayer. My wife is a strong Christian, and she has prayer, which is helping her amazing. She's part of a Bible study group, and her little tribe it's money for her. Me, I'm a breath work guy. We're just different, but we get along because I don't judge her. She doesn't judge me. We just are who we are, and we love each other anyway. And, which is how it should kind of be across the board. You know what I mean? People don't even know their own neighbors. They have no clue, left and right, who's there or what's going on. And so for me, I think the big thing was connection. I met the Stretch Lab kid today. His name was Spencer. I invited him to my workout on Wednesday. I don't know him more than a 50-minute stretch, right? I don't think he's a murderer or anything. We're so damn paranoid about the guy next door, or this person's religion, or if you can't let all that crap go. And I do a speech about that. Like my one of my talks is about helping us understand how important it is to make connections with people who are just different than us. And the boneheads are the boneheads, regardless. Maybe there's people in your tribe that you get to know them and they're just jerks. So everything about them, they seem like you, but they're not. They're not kind. They're not thoughtful. They're not altruistic. They're not loving. They're not patient. They're listeners. Yeah, say bye to them. You want to feel better. You're the company you keep. Like who your crew, and the more variety that you add, the different kinds of people, the more cultures that you bring in, the more that you learn, and the better person you are, and the more empathetic you are in regards to any and all other people. But some people who are just boneheads, they gotta go, and you gotta let them know. And if you can't do that, and you keep having them in your life, and you know that you're like, here are all the people in my life. Am I happy? Not really. Am I anxious? Yes. Am I stressed out? Am I angry? Yeah. Well, it's probably because of all these people around you. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you've got funny, thoughtful, happy, giving, fun people in your life, you'll accomplish more, and you'll be more consistent with your creativity, with your productivity, with your athleticism. That all those things will get better just purely based on the company you keep. I think that's money there, you know.
So money, man. Bringing it back to like fat loss and getting ripped and stuff. Obviously, the ab ripper was very famous. I mean, I would say out of all the workouts, that was probably the one that probably people went to the most.
They kept doing that one over and again.
Right. If you only could do 5 ab exercises for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
Shockingly, I would do burpees, because I'm not working just my abs. You throw yourself down, you go back, you jump up. Like, there's a lot of core there. And besides, you're working every muscle in your body, so you're burning more calories. And I would do a lot of plank stuff as opposed to stuff on my back. I would do more butt stuff on my butt, where I'm working like, row moves. And I would do a lot of plank stuff, like, up downs. I would do dolphin push-ups. The side tri rise from is a tricep move, but it's also, working your intercostal muscles. And martial arts and boxing, like just a lot of that turning and twisting, right? Driving the hips, driving the knees, getting up on the balls of the feet, boom, big movements like that. With a water bag, gold. Or if somebody's got focus pads, that's a nice thing to hit, but you need 2 people to do that. Yeah, anything where you're twisting or turning or torquing or whatever, that's gold. I mean, to come up with actual moves, the Mason twist is nice with a med ball. Your classic Pfeiffer scissors, where you're up and reaching toward your feet with full extension, right? Boom, those are goodies too. But like, dude, I don't do abs anymore. I don't know what they're looking like.
Tony just flexed on camera for those listening. He's still got them.
I mean, I've got around 11% body fat right now, and I don't even do abs.
So do you think that's a big mistake for people when they're trying to target like fat loss, is that they focus too much on ab exercises and not the other stuff?
Yeah, ab crunches are building strength below the fat that you got to get rid of some other way. Let me think about ab moves. You're usually on your back or your butt or you're not you're condensing one little area a little bit. Maybe you're bringing your feet. Like, there's so little calorie burn while you're doing that. You're working on your transverse abdominis. You're working on your abdominal wall. You're working on your intercostals. You're making those stronger, which is also making your lumbar part of your spine stronger and less vulnerable when you do stuff. That's great. But if you want to see this stuff, if you actually want to see it, man, you gotta eat clean, and you gotta run, and you gotta punch, and you gotta do plyo, and you gotta do everything. That's what brings it out. You know what I mean? Some exercise strengthen, and other ones reveal what you want to reveal to the world.
Last question I have for you.
No. Okay.
Carl Deichler calls you tomorrow, says he wants you back to be the face of Beachbody. You back?
Done. Well, the numbers would have to be right.
Yeah.
I've got my own supplement line. And so would they, they would probably have a problem with me having my own supplement line when they sell supplements. And that's doing pretty well. And then my wife and I have the Power of 4, Power Nation. And so they would compete with each other. But if he called me and, if he called me and said, hey, I want to do P90 Max or whatever you want to call it, sign me up. I'll do it. I'd love to do it. I'd love to get those, whatever, how many workouts, get some of the old cast members back and reinvent the wheel after 20 years.
I think the first time I had you on, we talked about it. The problem was P90X was made for the person who wanted to be like in insane shape. And then it got marketed to general population as it got harder and harder. Wasn't that the big mistake?
Originally, it was marketed for people who had already done Power 90 or people who are already in pretty good shape already to get to the next level, which I didn't really think was a good idea. I thought we should have kind of attacked the obesity thing more. That was Carl's thing. But what was happening was that people were getting the few and the proud that actually like went, okay, I'm going to do that thing. Because initially it just was not doing much at all. It was just kind of petering out. But we knew it was a great product, so we found new ways to offer it. Plus, we were taking people's before and after pictures that they were sending us and their videos that they were sending us voluntarily, and we put those in the ads. And so word of mouth and these new real people, no more like, more test group people. And then it just went like this. Wah.
I forget how you described it, but I remember that you said there was some sort of disconnect with like P90X2 and P90X3 with the marketing and the population and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we marketed it for like I said, what I was saying, for the people who were in pretty good shape. But because it got so popular, because they were sending the before and after pictures, because there were some people who just completely changed dramatically in 90 days, everybody said, I want a piece of that. So the word of mouth thing is what really got a lot of people going. And I think that was the main reason why it just exploded like it did,
Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it does with the comeback.
Well, yeah, now that it's being marketed, we'll see too. I think it's just kind of launched. People are seeing ads and getting emails and everything else all over the place. So we'll see how version 2 does. Hopefully pretty good. I mean, I'm thrilled about that, but I like to see people over at Power Nation, powernationfitness.com, and Dre is in those new workouts, and Bobby's are in these new workouts, and a lot of the original Alice are in these new workouts. So a lot of the people that were in P90X, X2, and X3, these were my friends that I hired because they were fit and awesome, and we had good rapport. They're in these new routines. You know what I mean? So check that out too.
Awesome. Well, Tony, it's always entertaining and inspiring to talk to you. Thanks for coming back on the show. Other than your workout program, what else do you want people to know about? Where can people find you on social media and stuff like that?
Social media. I have all that stuff written down somewhere. I don't know where it is. Yeah, you can find me at Tony Horton Fitness on Instagram. Also Tony S. Horton on Instagram. And I think I'm just Tony Horton on Facebook and YouTube. I've got a show on YouTube called Power Up. A lot of comedians and actors and people that you're fans of. I had Hudson, what's his first name, who was on Ghostbusters last episode. That'll come out soon. So they're fun. They're about an hour, but there's little snippets too. We cut them down into like 5, 10, 15, 20-minute little snippets. So check it out, Power Up. If you want some of the supplements, which have turned my life around, I mean, mypowerlife.com. And if all your listeners use the Tony30 discount code, they'll save 30%. So make sure that you do that. Also, if you buy in bulk, you save money as well. And the big announcement is March, April, May 2025. We're going to have a super event. It's going to be here in town. We're going to max out at about 125 people. So if anybody's interested, go to TonyHortonLife.com and look for that announcement. TonyHortonLife.com. It's not up there yet, but we're going to go to the American Ninja Warrior facility in Santa Ana. We're going to have lots of speakers. And there'll be a VIP events as well where they can kind of hang out with me here at my house and have dinner at my house. That's for just 25 people. And we're piecing that together now. We're really excited about that event. We're looking at having a TV show, a competitive thing for the Ninja Warrior thing. We might even have we'll see if we shoot that as an actual TV show too. So I think it'll sell out pretty quick because all my Paragon events sold out like in no time at all. This is 125 people. And we haven't even announced it yet, but you got to show up in shape. You'll be disappointed if you don't. There's that. Yeah. So that's all I can think of. There you go.
Amazing. Well, Tony, thanks again for coming back on the show. I think my audience is going to be inspired and entertained. So thanks again.
That's the combo, baby. Right there.
There we go.
Doug, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It's good to see your face again.
You too. Likewise, man. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I really think you're going to like this video as well. I'll see you there.